The value of a multi-generational family meeting. Hi, my name is Nate Krampe. I'm a certified financial planner, and I work with a lot of families who want to pass on assets to a number of their kids. Now, this is something that is so important, and I don't need to tell you that it's actually something that is not done very often. It really brings lessons down from, in this case, the super rich is what we call them, and they have what's called family offices where they actually get together and do these types of meetings. Now, a successful family office is where they're actually sharing the insights surrounding the family and bringing it all together. And it's important because so often the kids are receiving a fair amount of money and there isn't a plan for it of how to deal with this, and most of the time they're not experienced. And so this is a way to get them involved early. Now, your likelihood to increase the success of the family and the legacy is really at stake here. And that's really what we're looking to create. And let's look into what we have here and kind of talk through the lessons, like I said, from the super rich. So some of the key takeaways that we have here is that family meetings can help avoid the thorny problems that can arise when inheritors who receive substantial assets lack the ability to manage the money prudently. Now, why would they? If they've never had experience in managing money, why would they all of a sudden be thought of that they could manage it correctly? So handing them millions of dollars at times sometimes is not very helpful if they don't know how to manage it. Now, I've had a lot of people that I have looked into over the times that have inherited substantial money and they do unbelievably stupid things with it. So get them involved early and really make sure that they understand things. It's going to be very important. Let's take a look at the second thing here. Entrepreneurs who wish to keep their businesses under family control can especially benefit from family meetings. Now, how many of you have heard the first generation makes the money, second generation kind of builds the business, and third generation blows the business? So that's why it's so important that kind of what we're talking about here, the most effective meetings then kind of the last part here can tend to have an outside professional, a neutral third party involved as a facilitator. And so whether you're entrepreneurial or just wanting to make sure that you leave a good legacy, having someone there to facilitate on your behalf is going to be important as well. Now, this whole thing that I've talked about here is one of the best tools a family can have. If they're going to be passing on wealth between family members, it's a great tool. And like I said, I've brought it down from the super rich and what they call family offices. So again, everyone involved is going to be really kind of the best part here, and making sure that they can assess certain investments, make sure that they know capital requirements, the leveraging, basically all the details of how to manage the money and how that can be lowered cost by doing so. And that's what these meetings are about. These are some of the biggest issues succession plans have to go through, is not only where the assets are invested, but also a part of the business. So promoting your financial literacy here by having the family meeting is going to be very, very beneficial. Everyone can understand how to handle the money before they inherit it. Now, if there's an investment philosophy for the family, kind of like a philanthropic value, if they're charitably minded, the family around, getting the family around and supporting that is going to be very helpful. And also, like I said before, if your family wants to be entrepreneurial outside of the family business, how can you help with that and set up a successful family? Now, planning the meeting ahead of time is going to be the first steps here. So there are 4 key steps that we talked about. Planning the meeting is the first key step, and making sure that we're planning that ahead of time and that we know what the outcomes are going to be. So when planning, you're not planning for one and done. This should be on a regular basis. And for most people, it's annually. Now, it's also going to depend on the wealth you have and also your complexity. Is conducting the meeting is going to be part of it, and it's critical who does that. Because what's going to happen is that once we have the the conducting of the meeting, we're going to need some follow-up items. So one of the most important things that a family member to do to take action basically places them in their assessments are going to be a part of it, not only in the meeting itself, but also the outcome. So the outcome of a meeting is going to be part of it, but then again, the outcomes of the actions of the meeting. So one of the things to do is to have basically someone that's there to follow up with these issues, and it can depend again on basically the level of wealth that you have as to how much follow-up is needed. Now, one of the things I see over and over again is that there's multiple homes. It's not unusual for some people to have these meetings, these family meetings off-site, like at their vacation home, or a lot of times, since it may only be a day or maybe at the most a couple days, a really, really good idea is to have it off-site. So at a resort where everyone can come to and all the logistics are taken care of, and all you need to do is be there and start conducting it. Now, people have talked about video conferencing, and that does work well, but that should work more of a second meeting or kind of a check-in, a follow-up as you would, versus just say a normal introduction. Now, in planning the meeting, the big thing to do is to know what the goals are. So let's go back to what we were talking about here, what the goals are, and then making sure that we know kind of all the different details surrounding that. So once we know the goals, like I said, we're going to have some follow-up items that we're going to be looking for here, and that's conducting the meeting. Now when it comes to, like I said before, conducting the meeting itself, have it off-site, but more importantly, have someone that's here to conduct it for you. So when we talk about things, we're talking about a third-party facilitator, and that can be a number of different people that can facilitate it, that can go through, that can work through all the details of there. And the biggest thing here is that they remain neutral. That's really what you want, that you want to remain neutral in everything. Now, also reaching out to all the members, they can do that. They can make sure that they know all of the outcomes that they're wanting from the meetings, and that's going to make it as productive as possible. So we want a productive meeting, and reaching out by the facilitator can make it that much more valuable. So after that, we have the follow-up action items. The key at the end of the day is to have action items with some clear milestones. Now, really take the time to assess the outcome and know kind of what you want from the meeting and what's going to work well and what has worked well. That's going to make them a better follow-up. So, last part, the assessment, and then we have the next steps. Knowing what are your next steps are going to be vitally important, and what I want to say here is the best thing to get started is, or to do actually, is to get started. There are many great facilitators out there that can be of value of you. So enjoy the outcome of a great family meeting and the success that you're going to have. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the day.